Hello and welcome to Morning Brew. I don't have your messages up on the screen. Hang on 1 second. I will sort that out for you. Don't want to be not having your messages up on the screen. That would suck, wouldn't it? Right, here you are. Hello and welcome to a special second anniversary edition of Morning Brew. I'm Graham Hughes. The button's not working. There it is. I'm Graham Hughes, and this is The Brew on Politics Social. Big shout out to everyone in the chat. We've got Rosie in there, Sarah Davis. Hope you're doing all right, Sarah. We've got Ivan as well. We've got Tripod, Ghost Pouch. We've got Robbie 2001. I hope you're all okay this morning, as you know, all things considered. Get rid of me headphones. Headphones on the desk. If you'd like to join our friends in the chat here, all you have to do is hit that lovely subscribe button, and it'll be like the last 2 years never happened, almost, kind of, I think. I don't know, maybe. So we're going to have a little bit of a reflection today on the last 530 shows. I put 525 shows, but I actually did a couple of brews where I was away. I did island brews, I did mystery brews. I've done brews on a weekend. So all in all, this is the 530th show, which is quite remarkable. It means that I've done actually more, or produced more than 5 a week for the last 2 years, on average. Obviously, Phil Morehouse did 2 shows a week for the first year or so of the channel. Yeah, now it's just me. It's just me for an hour every morning. Hey, aren't you lucky badgers? Talking of lucky badgers, I'm a lucky badger because Mike Higgins has just dropped £5. Oh, even better. Sorry, press the subscribe button. You had to do that. Yeah, gave €5, and we always love euros on this channel, into the super chat fund. So thank you very much to Mike Higgins. Happy birthday! Buy some cake. Oh yes, that sounds like a plan. And Alistair, £2 super chat. Thank you. Congratulations on hitting 2 years. Keep it up. It's a lot of work. I'm going to just try. But when we started back in 2023, the King Sausage Fingers was already on the throne, but he hadn't been coronated. When we started, Rishi Sunak was Prime Minister. Joe Biden was President of the United States, so there wasn't much to talk about what was happening in the States because it wasn't a cluster, clown, car, screaming, monkey, bus, going off a cliff, on fire, every single day. So that was nice. But what was happening in the UK was a screaming clown car on fire going off a cliff. We were sort of halfway through the recovery of having the idiot known as Liz Truss in power for 44 days between September and October in 2022, and we were gearing up to have an election. So the battle lines were being drawn, and the longer the Tories left it before they had the election, it became very evident that the worst they were going to do in the election. In fact, one of the things that I've heard since the election is that the reason why the Tories called it earlier than everyone thought they were going to do is because they were looking at the polls and they realised that if they left the election until October or November of last year, the Lib Dems would have taken even more seats, and there was a danger of the Lib Dems being the official opposition. That's how bad it would have been for the Tories. It had they stayed in power for a few more months. So while we were clamouring for an election, actually, it might have been better if we had gone, no, it's okay. You guys stay in power for another few months. It's fine. We're fine over here. And then we could have had a proper opposition in the Liberal Democrats who, at every Prime Minister's questions, Ed Davey and the other Liberal Democrats always ask sensible questions. And, they put Keir Starmer on the spot as it's supposed to be done. And it's not just a Punch and Judy thing. I'm sorry, but Cammy Badenoch. Oh my God. Anyway, Anne Phillips has been a member for 1 month, and she says, happy birthday to the channel. Oh, thank you very much, Anne. Oh, and she's dropped a super chat in. Small contribution to the feast. Oh, thank you. To the cake. The cake. Should I make, what kind of cake should we make? Should we make a ginger cake? Oh, Rosie 2911. Thank you. £10 super chat. Happy second birthday, Graham. Morning Brew is a fantastic show, and you do such a great job. You're also a top swearer. Oh, thank you, Rosie. I'm trying not to swear so much. I'm trying not to get all my videos demonetized for the rest of the time. But, sometimes you just got to swear. You just got to let it out, haven't you? Katrina Tam, thank you very much for the £10 super chat. Happy anniversary, Morning Brew. Can't stay. I have to visit my mum in hospital again. I'm sorry. Then go and do other stuff. I'll watch the rest on catch up. Thanks for being awesome all this time, Graham. Oh, thank you so much, Katrina. That's really, really kind of you. And thanks for the kind, warm words. It makes all the difference. It makes this worthwhile. So we had Sunak in power. We had him juggling strikes and these dreams of deportation to Rwanda for people who are escaping. I don't know, the tyranny of Rwanda. They were coming from the Democratic Republic of Congo. We had Nadine Dorries she was out and she was furious. Do you remember how furious she was that she wasn't being made into a lady? Make me a lady, she said. She wants to be in the House of Lords. But, Sunak was like, nah, you're all right. We had the nurses on strike, the teachers on strike, the postal workers on strike, the rail workers, everyone out. It was like the biggest strike since the 1980s, back 2 years ago when the Tories were still in. And the Tories refused to even talk about it, And then last year, around this time, there were rumblings that there might be an election called in, we were talking in January, whether it was going to be in March, and then March rolled by and it went past, and we were like, oh, okay, maybe they're not going to declare an election at all. And then April 2024, that was when the elections were called. And now the grown-ups are in charge, but it's still a mess. So we'll get into that in a moment. Oh, thank you very much to Zolt Pal. Thank you very much. So keep going. I will, my friend, just because you've asked me to. But yes, we had, we had the election last year, which was fantastic. I mean, it was a breath of fresh air to get the Tories out of power, and the way it went down was just amazing. All the people that we hated the most, pretty much all of them wiped out. You had that horrible little man who represented Stoke, the monkey man. He looks like a howler monkey. Gullis, Jonathan Gullis. That guy, that guy, yeah. Jonathan Gullis out. Jacob Rees-Mogg. Jacob Rees-Mogg out. Liz Truss out. It was a really, really good night. It was a really, really good night. But then since then, with Rachel Reeves's fiscal straight jacket, the growth being the number one mission, unless you're poor, disabled, or, in need of public services. You've got Keir Starmer's cautious centralism, which is typical for Labour. And I'll keep saying this over and over again. When Labour get into power, they always do this. They always have in history. There has been no time in history when Labour has been the radical left-wing party that they are in opposition. They might be that in opposition. They might go, oh, the Tories, we're going to do that. But then they actually get into power and they're like, no. Are we going to reverse everything Thatcher did? They asked in 1997. Nah. Are we going to renationalise the water? Nah. Are we going to renationalise the railways, Tony? Nah. Okay, mate. Thanks for that. I'm not saying that Labour from 97 to 2010 didn't do a load of really good things. It absolutely did. But at the same time, you've got to strap in. You know what's going to happen. You're not going to get the socialist utopia that you want in this country because our government is a reflection of the people of this country, and the people of this country are cautious conservatives. The vast majority. The vast, vast majority. We can go on as much as we like about the people who don't vote, and if only those people who don't vote, if only they voted, we'd have a socialist utopia. But the reality is, no, we wouldn't, because the people who don't vote are a bit Tory as well, unfortunately. And easily spooked, easily scared, especially as people get older and they've got more stuff and they're scared that someone's going to come and take their stuff away from them. And which is sad, you're not your stuff, you're not your job, you're not your wife, you're not your husband, you're yourself, take pride in it. We had the death of press freedom with the Channel 4 being attacked by Nadine Dorries, who didn't seem to understand that it was actually a public service broadcaster. God, do you remember that? She thought that it got paid we pay for it at the taxpayer's pocket, but no, it was set up by Thatcher. Right? It's independent of the government. Like, we don't pay our license fee to the Channel 4. And she didn't even understand how it worked. Bless her. Oh, Ivan, thank you very much for the £10 super chat. Woo! Happy anniversary, Graham. You inspire me. Most things we agree on. There are some fundamental things we disagree on. I'm sorry. But we get through that as we are mature. Thank you for calling out evil and amplifying our voices. Thank you, sir. Thank you. That is a really nice message there. And you're getting lots of likes, lots of love in the chat this morning, which is great. What else happened? We had J.K. Rowling going full turf. I mean, oh my God. Like, she's just lost her fucking mind, hasn't she? Sorry, shouldn't swear. Wow. Like, how the mighty have fallen. She made her fortune making books about how we should all be, woke. We should all be decent. We should all be nice to people, no matter their background. Doesn't matter if their parents weren't wizards, they can be wizards, it's fine. Doesn't matter if you weren't technically born a woman, you can be a woman. Because that's a gender thing. Gender is not, they say gender is immutable. No, it's not. What are you talking about? Absolutely it's not. It's like most things in life, everything in life, it's a bloody spectrum. It's a spectrum. Everything in life is a bloody spectrum. There's so few things that are just like absolutes, where it's like one or the other and nothing in between. Life just doesn't work like that. Nature doesn't work like that. Squishy little humans don't work like that. And I know that there's people who just want to put everyone in a box because that makes them feel safe, I know what this person is. I'm going to put them in a box, and the box might be marked Muslim, or it might be marked French, or it might be marked woman or man. And they're going, okay, they're in a box. I've put them in a box, and that's where they're going to stay. And then they start tying themselves in loops, saying, you can't call people the name that they want to be called. You've got to call them by their name that they were given. It's like, well, what about women who get married and change their surname? Do you continue using their maiden name? Because that's a bit disrespectful. If they want to change their name, then that's fine. But yeah, real women they have periods. Like, some women don't. Some women just genuinely don't have periods. Oh well, women can give birth. Well, not all women can give birth. So what are you saying, that women who can't for whatever reason give birth, they're not women? Of course they are. Just not going into your little box, your little definition of it. And J.K. Rowling, while this show's been running, I mean, she has gone from being a hideous TERF, which she was when we started, into someone who's now actively transvestigating any woman who's not white, who she thinks doesn't look traditionally Western feminine enough. Athletes, she's going after athletes. This is some nasty old lady sitting there at a desk going, she's the richest author in the world. Just enjoy your life. But you see, this is the problem with people when they get too rich. This is why being a billionaire is a mental health problem. Yeah, it's a mental health problem for the rest of us more than anything else. Because they get this thought in their head, like, I'm dead rich, and everyone else should listen to me. And I'm like, that's the most ridiculous thing ever, but okay, go on, say something nice. Say something, but better the world. No, I'm just going to have a go at some minority. Fucking hell. And do you know what? I don't give a fuck how much money she's got. I know that I'm happier than she is. I know that I'm more content in my life than she is. And that goes for like people like Andrew Tate or Boris Johnson or whatever. I know that I'm just like happy to be who I am and happy to be where I am in life. It's fine. I don't spend my time, every day in, day out, infuriated that a minority exists. I'm infuriated that Trump is in power in America, but that's something separate. Optimistic Nihilist, thank you very much for the £10 super chat. That's very kind of you. Reeves deliberately lied in her budget. The figures make no sense, and the real picture is much more bleak than she is claiming. She's lost all credibility to me. Not voting Labour until they change tact. Optimistic Nihilist. I don't disagree with you, to be honest with you. I think the devil is in the detail in a lot of that stuff. And some of it just didn't really make much sense to me either. We'll be going through it with a fine-tooth comb with Phil Morehouse tomorrow. I don't know if Phil's particularly happy with what the direction that Labour is going in. He's a little bit of a purist when it comes to it's in the manifesto. They've got to do it. It's in the manifesto. And then the stuff that isn't in the manifesto that they're doing now, which is affecting a lot of people. And I don't know. I assume that they've done some polling, some research, and they've found that electorally, maybe the best people to go after are the most vulnerable in society. I don't know. But yeah. But we've had just going back to J.K. Rowling for a moment. The trans panic backlash, media scapegoating, the legislative rollbacks we're supposed to have make it easier for people to get themselves a gender recognition certificate, which has been rolled back. Real world harm that's been caused by this. My trans friends, people who are trans who are watching this know exactly what I'm talking about. And it's all built on this moral panic. That is absolute nonsense. There's not been a single case of a trans person attacking someone in a toilet. It just doesn't happen. Joe, it does happen. Men attacking women all the fucking time. Like, women die every day all over the world. They die every single day from a man who's married to them, or is their boyfriend, or is romantically engaged, or maybe it's their brother, maybe it's their father. But they're in a house. They're not in a public bathroom when it happens, because most people who commit crimes kind of want to get away with the crime, and you're going to be a lot less likely to get away with the crime when you commit it in a public place. You tend to do these things in behind closed doors. There's a bit of Sherlock Holmes that always stays with me, where he's traveling. I think it might be. You probably correct me in the chat, but I think it might be Hound of the Baskervilles, and they're traveling on the train into the countryside. And Dr. Watson, as always, is like, this upbeat, little sidekick, little Penfold, going, isn't this great? Look at the beautiful countryside. Isn't it gorgeous? Isn't it nice to get out the city? And Sherlock's like, no, the countryside's the most dangerous place you can go to because there's no one here. And so all these crimes get committed and they never get solved because no one sees it. There's no witnesses. You don't know the darkness that lies within the hearts of men or something like that. But I might be exaggerating. My favorite line, in like James Bond, he has the kiss off line, bon appetit and stuff like that. When he's killing a henchman, and he makes some little quippy joke about the death of this henchman or whatever. That started with Sherlock Holmes. There might be some earlier examples, but the earliest that I am aware of is a Sherlock Holmes story in which a guy pretends to be dead to get his wife put to death, for his murder, and then he turns out not actually to be dead. And Sherlock Holmes says she's, he for whatever reason, he's got a gun. Like, even in Victorian England, things could be sold with a gun. And Sherlock Holmes has a gun, and the guy says, as a Sherlock Holmes says, she's coming with me, and the guy says, you can't do that. She's my wife. And Sherlock pulls out the gun and says, no, she's your widow. And shoots him dead. Brilliant. Well done, Sherlock. Oh, we got a massive £20 super chat. Thank you very much to Gareth T. There. Happy anniversary. This time last year, I was in the prison service. I'm now back HGV driving, and my mental health is 10 times better. Thanks for brightening up my morning as I go around the UK. You come with us. Oh, thanks very much, Gareth. That's really kind of you. I hope you weren't texting that while you were driving. Hey. But yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much. The trans moral panic, this idea that people are gonna bad men are gonna dress up as women to attack women. It's like, that's the plot of Psycho. But there's a reason for this, the seeds for this were planted a long time ago. I think of Mission Impossible, Naked Gun. Is it Naked Gun 33 and a third? Is it Ace Ventura? The Crying Game, to some extent, where she revealed that she was transgender to the guy who was in love with her, like literally by getting naked in front of him, which is just not realistic. That never happens in real life. I mean, why? Just, there might be like one or two cases in the history of mankind, but that's a really daft position to put yourself into if you're with a guy and he thinks that you are a cisgender woman, and then to reveal that you're trans, you get naked in front of... I mean, it's just, yeah. But in Naked Gun, Ace Ventura, South Park, all had a storyline in which someone really fancies someone because they look like Sean Young, and they were like, oh, I really love you, you're dead sexy. And then they find out that they're actually transgender, at which point they're sick. Like, what? Ha 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 ha. Oh my God, no, I've kissed a man. Ah. Well, no, you haven't. You kissed a trans woman, but that's not the point. Like, you obviously fancied them. So what difference does it make? Like, but that informed a lot of that generation. You know, my generation, even growing up, of like, oh, you know, there's something deceitful about it. And this goes back to what I was talking about the other day, which really fucks me off when we talk about disabilities. The fact that people think that people with disabilities are swinging the lead. They're just making it up. They're doing it to get attention. Are they really ill? Are they really disabled? Are they really sick? Are they? And that suspicion, you know, are they really trans, or are they just pretending to attack me? I mean, come on. George has been a member for 18 months. He's a superstar. Wealth limitations, end excessive wealth hoarding. Oh, mate, I could totally agree. Thanks very much to Gareth T again. I mean, Commander DJ Burp saying, top fella. Diz says, nice one. The Crying Game is an awesome movie. Loved it, says Peter Music. Yeah, it is. It's more sympathetic than other films around that time. But at the same time, the big reveal is played like a carry-on film. Do you know what I mean? I think that really lets it down. It's not quite as bad as the character played by Mickey Rourke in Breakfast at Tiffany's, where he plays a Japanese character, which is so racist. It actually broke my racistometer. Like the needle just went off the end. They need to make an AI re-edit of Breakfast at Tiffany's that just takes that character out and replaces them with Jar Jar Binks or something. I don't know how you could just get rid of him. Just go back. Just get rid of him. I think it was quite offensive at the time. I don't think it was something that, you know, in retrospect we realised it was offensive. They love saying that, don't they? It was a different time. It was a different time. Bollocks. Look at the writing back then. I mean, even like slavery, slavery, it was a different time. There were people all the way through the era of slavery saying this is wrong. This is absolutely morally repugnant. Yeah, and we've also seen the rise of the manosphere in the last couple of years as well. The Andrew Tate. I suppose this started really in the pandemic. People were stuck inside, and they started listening to shite like Joe Rogan and Andrew Tate and all these like gym bunny bros who, you know, lift weights and ask each other, you know, how much can you press? What? I don't even know what that fucking means, but I'm like, okay. How many people can I impress? Well, let me tell you. But yeah, this toxic masculinity, which two things about this that drive me up the wall. One is, well, it doesn't drive me up the wall, but I just find it like, let's just say ironic. You have the red pill, blue pill, right? Comes from The Matrix, a movie made by two trans women. Written and directed by two trans women, in which one of the characters, called Switch, was originally supposed to be someone who was male on the outside, but then when they were in the Matrix, they were female. But the studio didn't like that. Oh, whatever. Whatevs. And the other one is Snowflake, when they call us snowflakes, which it goes back. I mean, that goes back before. That's been something since probably 2016. You snowflake. And that comes from Fight Club, a book written by a gay man as a screed against toxic masculinity, which is completely misread by a lot of people who probably didn't bother reading the book, but they watched the film and went, yeah, Brad Pitt, yeah. The guy shoots himself at the end, people. Sorry for spoilers. He shoots himself in the head. And although in the movie it makes it look like he survived that, you don't survive shooting yourself in the head. It's just not something you survive. Anyway, Ivan Ambrose, another £5. Thank you so much, Ivan. It's very kind of you this morning. The social security changes are completely uncalled for. It's cruelty, and we all have a role to play if you can to try and stop this wrong approach. Couldn't agree more. I think you're absolutely right. Austerity redux, austerity 2.0, PIP clampdowns. This is all what Reeves is doing. Instead of taxing billionaires or taxing people who are earning over £10 million a year. The cost of living crisis rolls on. Inflation is down, but food prices are still up. Food banks are still there. Housing is still unaffordable. And we're all in this together, apparently. Say the Tories. While they swim in offshore cash. But, it's not all doom and gloom and Trump and transphobia and Truss. We've had some green energy growth, wind and solar are making real gains globally, especially in this country as well. We've got Dogger Bank coming online soon. It's going to be the biggest wind farm in the world. Even when, Tories are trying to sabotage progress by banning onshore wind farms, etc. They're not winning. They're not winning because of the inexorable march of technology. It's cheaper and more efficient and better in every way to generate your power using wind turbines and solar. It just is. Trump, before Trump got in, Fox News got sued for millions for lying during the 2020 election. Trump got found guilty of 34 felony counts in a court in New York. He was also up for other indictments, but he's managed to worm his way out of them like the fat orange worm he is because he became president again. But Alex Jones bankrupted, fantastic, and then The Onion bought InfoWars, which was great, but that's been kicked back a little bit. So, working on it. Grassroots power, the unions have won all of the big strikes last year as they came to an end as Labour got in. Climate justice is slowly but surely getting there. We have at least we have a government in at the moment that's taking its responsibility seriously when it comes to green issues. We've also seen, the era of AI came in. Well, the last 2 years, the AI apocalypse, as some people think it's going to be. I'm somewhere in the middle. I think it's going to be kind of like, I think AI is quite fun and useful, and I think it's also going to be the apocalypse. So I think it's going to be a fun, useful apocalypse. Deep fakes, job theft, the collapse of trust online, and Elon Musk still thinks he's Tony Stark when actually he's more of a twat. He's more of a Stark. I mean, if anyone's read the book by Ben Elton, Stark, it's very similar to Elon Musk. The main character in it, or the main bad guy in it, the antagonist, is trying to put together a spaceship for people to go and live in space while the rest of the Earth dies. And he's addicted to heroin. He's like this really, really posh British aristocrat who wants to leave the planet, and he's addicted to heroin, which isn't that far off from ketamine, is it? Paula in the chat says someone should send Rachel Reeves a copy of Mark Blythe's book Austerities. It shows why it's so self-defeating. It absolutely is. Christopher says, I happily wear woke and snowflake labels. I'm less happy about my consumer labels. Yeah, true. But yeah, woke just means you're decent. If you're a snowflake, fantastic. Let's get millions of snowflakes together and create an avalanche. It's unstoppable. Don't want to get caught up in one, do you? Right-wingers. I do wish the UK will pull its finger out of its arse with regards to tidal power generation. We have a lovely little moon up there giving us free energy every day. That's from Joanna. There's a lot of issues with tidal power, and it's something that I'm really interested in because I come from Liverpool, and Liverpool has one of the highest the biggest tidal ranges in the world. It's a tidal range about 10 meters. It's up there with the Bay of Fundy and Bristol. And as such, twice a day, you're getting shitloads of water in, shitloads of water out, and then you have the half tide, shitloads of water in, shitloads of water out. However, if you put things in water, the water just tries to kill them straight away. And I don't know, looking at the way that offshore wind turbines have gone, if you would be able to produce that level of power with tidal fans under the water, essentially. I know fans not the right word, turbines under the water being driven by the current. I think that the tech is there, but it's the maintenance. And I think that's what's going to hold tidal power back for the rest of the time. I think it's the maintenance, because there's so many things in the water that just want to mess up your turbine. So you think about nets, the biggest amount of plastic by volume in our oceans are discarded plastic fishing nets. So one of them gets wrapped around your turbine. Yeah, not great. Also seaweed getting trapped. I mean, any kind of like sea stuff. Then you've got the fact that you'll need to replace bearings and things more often than you would if the turbines were wind turbines. And I think that's going to be, I think that's its Achilles heel, Joanna. And I'd love them to work. I'd love them to crack it, put some like hydrophobic covering on it all to stop anything sort of messing it up. But I do see difficulties there. You look at the maintenance on, say, an oil rig, right? People whose job it is to go down as divers, to sort out the drill in an oil rig. It is a really, really dangerous job. Like, I've got a friend who's a professional diver. He runs a dive company in Bocas del Toro in Panama, and he used to work for the oil companies as a diver. And he had friends who died. Like, you get paid a lot of money, but it's super fucking dangerous. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like it would be fantastic to have that relentless source of energy all year round. Okay, sometimes there's not wind, sometimes the sun's not around. But I think that with the technology that we've got, and with this idea that we can have energy storage through our cars, if everyone has an EV and everyone can plug their car in, you can run your house for a couple of days off the energy from your car. And if that can be moved around the system, if you plug your car in and the energy obviously can come out your car and go into the car, you can pay money. You can get paid for putting money back into the system at times when there's a demand, but the energy production is not there, and it's energy storage for when the energy is there, but there isn't much demand. I can see lots and lots of people charging their car between 2 and 5 o'clock in the morning, and then if people need energy, it can be taken out of the cars. George, one angry pagan. Well, it's talking about penises. I'll let that happen. Still waiting for Graham to invite me back on. I'm sorry, one angry pagan. It's just been mad. Like, I've not had a chance to sort of just adjust me wellies. Do you know what I mean? It's one thing after another, because it's not just the shows that I do here. I've got a bunch of other things that I'm working on at the same time, and I've got a family to look after. One of the reasons why I'm not as prepared today as I would have liked to have been, because I was going to get clips together and stuff, is I ended up having to drive the kids to school because Catherine couldn't do it. So at the last minute, the fact that you got a special intro sequence, and I managed to get some kind of thumbnail up at the last minute is quite remarkable. But there you go. One of the things that I've been talking about in the past as well, about wins, to say, there's been a few wins. The Tories out, that's a win, right? Definite win. The fact that Putin's war is still not getting to the point that he wants it to get to. Putin's war is still unsuccessful in its original aims to take over the whole of Ukraine. That's something to be thankful for. Also, Generation Z, and I want to talk about this for a moment, because we've got Generation Z or Generation Z, right? So this is the generation under the millennials that are coming online now, being able to vote, being able to buy a car, buy a house, all that kind of stuff, being able to drink. And the vast majority of them are awesome, like really, really progressive people. They are nice. They're decent. They respect people no matter what their background is or their sexuality. They have friends from all walks of life. They are a very impressive generation, but not all of them. And if there's anyone who's fallen down the alt-right manosphere pipeline, apart from the boomers, who are set in there, they can't help it. They've been drinking water out of lead-lined pipes all their life. Drinking lead, yeah, essentially. Breathing in lead, licking lead paint, whatever boomers do. Hashtag not all boomers. I should have that as a little. Should have that as a little animation that comes up and says hashtag not all boomers. But yeah, Generation Z. There is a big worry at the moment, and Adolescence, the TV show, has really highlighted this. That there's a generation coming up, and there's a lack of role models. And if you think about it, think about the role models that the right offer. Okay, let's go through some of them. Boris Johnson, a role model for young men. Donald Trump, rapist, role model for young men, do you think? Andrew Tate, a guy who's wanted for, horrific sexual assault crimes. Here, good example. It's Lawrence Fox, who was arrested this week for upskirting offence that he committed. He could face 2 years in jail. I hope he does. Someone name someone on the right who you think is a good influence on the minds of young men, because I can't think of any. Ben Shapiro, he's a disgusting little misogynist. You've got that idiot Jordan Peterson, who sounds like Kermit the Frog, an idiot's idea of a clever person. He goes, I'm a professor, Kermit, I'm a professor, I know what I'm talking about, dragons are real. There's not many of them. And there are some really impressive people on the left who I think are very, very inspirational. I think Bernie Sanders is inspirational. I think AOC is inspirational. I think Gary Lineker is inspirational. And the people that are on the other side, I think, are just leading young men astray, leading them down a dark, lonely path. Because here's the thing about the male loneliness epidemic. They're trying to frame it as in, if you don't have a wife, if you don't have a woman in your life who's a romantic partner, right, then you're a loser, you're involuntary celibate or whatever, right? An incel. What we need to be teaching is that's not the be all and end all, having a partner. Loads of people don't have a partner. Some people think that they've got a partner and they think that other people should have children. It's a thing like, oh, you got to have children for self. And that's not necessarily true either. Do you know what you need? You need a community. That's what you need. And that's what young people are crying out for. And then they find their community online. And if the community is a mad cult of women-hating misogynist pigs, then they'll go up to be a woman-hating misogynistic pig. And this is why I always believe that society is so important. Why community is so important. What you need more than a romantic partner is friends, just mates, people you can hang out with, people you can be yourself around, people you can chat to. It doesn't matter if it's electronic, you're online or in real life, but to have people that you can rely on if you're not, if you're feeling a bit down, they can lift you up. If you're in a pickle, they're the people you need in your life. Because if you put everything into your romantic partner, here's the horrible thing. At some point, your romantic partner's going to, either you or them are going to cark it. All right? That's going to happen. And whoever's left behind, if you don't have friends, if you don't have a community, if you've pushed everyone else in your life away by being a toxic manosphere Jim Bunny dickhead, then there's going to be no one there for you. Do you know what I mean? Like, don't put all the eggs in one basket. Don't have just one massive egg in your basket. And if it doesn't work out, that's it. The end, just friendship, community, camaraderie. That's what we need. That's what we need. That's what we need. Anyway, super chat. Optimistic nihilist. Hey, hello. Labour aren't progressive anymore, even overall, but they are bending over backwards for Trump and the billionaire oligarchs. Record new oil and gas licenses, deregulation, tax cuts for nothing in return. It's not looking good, optimistic nihilist. I always like to be an optimist, but I feel like when people give criticism of Labour, saying they are Tory light, yeah, I'm not going to argue with you. I also go along with the idea that with Labour, you do get 30, 40, 50% more than of the things that you actually want, more than you get from the Tories. But with a 200-seat majority and no election on the horizon for 4 freaking years, they should be just going hell for leather. They should just be going, look, we've got to change things. We've got to shake things up. We've got to make people feel better, make people feel more secure in their lives, in their homes, in their identity, in their job, in their retirement, in if they get ill, if they get, just everything in life. People need that security. It's all anything. It's all anything. It's all anyone wants. If you think about security, it's the one thing that we give that to the government to do. We ask the government to protect us. Spoken about this before on the show, but since it's this 2-year anniversary show, I may as well say it again. A government's first and most foremost job is to protect us. It's to protect us against foreign invading armies. It's to protect us against murderers, rapists, burglars. It's to protect us against muggers. It's to protect us against thieves, con artists, companies that mean us harm, companies that don't want to pay us enough money. It's to protect us against disease. It's to protect us against, dying of a broken leg. It's there to protect us against ignorance. It's there to protect us against all this stuff. And if it's not protecting us against those things, it's not doing its job properly. We have given up certain rights to our government, to the Leviathan, in order, this is a social contract, in order for the government to provide us the protections that we need for everyday life. But what governments do, and they do this all across the board, is they don't offer enough protection in places where we do need protection, and they over-egg the bits where we don't need protection, and they go, no, you need protecting against this. Think about drug laws in the UK, that's to protect us, which is madness. I mean, if you're an adult and you want to do stuff, mad stupid stuff to your own body, you're sane. I think you should be able to do it. But also look at how they're burning books in America right now, banning books to protect people against the woke mind virus, etc., etc. That's overreach. We've got to protect people from the trans people who are waiting in the bathroom to jump out and go, "Ha, I'm trans," while you're having a wee. Because that's something that people do. And what you'll see right-wing governments, and it's shit when you see left-wing governments fall for this as well, is when they stop protecting us against the things that they really need to protect us against, like poverty, and instead they go after fictional shadows, vampires, boogeymen, the other, and say, oh, we're going to protect you against people coming here from other countries. Why? Oh, because they might commit crimes. Well, people from other countries commit less crimes than people from this country. Oh, they might scrounge off our NHS and our benefit system. People from other countries can't claim any benefits for the first 10 years of themselves being here. And if they use the NHS, they generally have to pay for it after the event. I mean, it's free at the point of delivery, but it doesn't really happen that much. I'll tell you what does happen. People from other countries who come here make a net contribution to the British economy, net contribution to British tax, okay? In the time that they're here, because we don't have to pay for their education, we don't have to pay for their schooling, we don't have to pay for their vaccinations, we don't have to pay for them when they're kids. They come over fully trained with a PhD, and they start working straight away. Brilliant. Like, imagine you had a clone farm that could make people. Would you make babies? No, you wouldn't. You'll make fully grown humans, because then they could be put to work straight away in your clone farms or wherever you want to use clones for. Don't grow clones. It's a terrible idea, as we've explored many times in popular culture. But yeah, I mean, they're like, oh, we need to protect you against these people coming from other countries. No, we don't. We need to protect you from asylum seekers. You need to protect us from women and children coming from a war-torn country so they don't get killed. What? Oh yeah, but most of the people who come over are men. I'm like, yeah. I mean, if you're going to make a dangerous journey, you can't win, can you? If you're a refugee, it's either, how dare you put that baby on that boat? You knew it was unsafe. Okay, well, we'll just put the men on then. And then the men can do some work here and send money back to their family back in Syria or in Libya or in Eritrea or wherever they're from. Oh, no, you can't do that. No. The wife and children have got to come here. Well, otherwise, they're not really refugees, are they? Again, knee-jerk reaction of people. You're not really trans. You're not really disabled. You're not really an asylum seeker. You're not really a refugee. You're just pretending. And we see this, and it goes further than that, because we see it every day when a woman is assaulted by a man, and the knee-jerk reaction is that the woman is lying. The knee-jerk reaction, in fact, what so many people say, and I'm so disappointed when people say this. They go, innocent until proven guilty. Do you know what that means? Flip that on its head. What does that mean? It means that the woman who has made the accusation is guilty of perjury until I'm wasting police time and making a malicious case against someone guilty of all these crimes until she is proven innocent. You can't have it both ways. You're either saying that the perpetrator is an innocent person until they're found guilty, or the person who's the victim in this is guilty of horrific crimes, of lying to the police, wasting police time, etc., etc., until they are proven innocent. So no, you're not innocent until proven guilty. We keep an open mind. And in nearly every other crime that exists, we believe the victim. The first instinct of a police officer who turns up at your house that's been turned over, everything's missing, there's a dusty gap where the TV used to be, the jewelry is gone, people are in tears, the children are in tears. The first instinct isn't, oh, well, did you rob yourself? Oh, did you have an expensive TV? Yeah, well, really, you were asking to be burgled, weren't you? No, that never happens. We believe the victim in those circumstances. And yet, because of this misfiring of the fucking brains, the neurons in the brains of a lot of men, is they think, what if someone accuses me of SA? And it's like, the stats are clear. You are more likely to be a victim of SA as a man than you are to be accused of it when you didn't do it. And then when you consider the fact that 99% of sexual assaulters don't go to jail for their crimes, puts it all in a bit of a different light, doesn't it? There you go. Anyway, Brian says, Graham, I came as an international student, paid £14,000 a year when uni was free. I got paid one-way taxes for 30 years and I still get blamed. Where does my tax go? Well, Brian, I absolutely agree with you, mate. I couldn't agree more. It's a ridiculous brain set that people get themselves into. Like, the government's doing a great job. What are they doing? Oh, well, they're protecting me. Are they protecting you against having shit in the water? No. Did they do a good job during the pandemic of protecting you from getting COVID? My granddad died of it because he was in a care home and, that wasn't fun. Okay. Did they do a good job of protecting you? How many people died of COVID in this country? What is it? Quarter of a billion people. God, that number is just, no, not that many. Sorry, 250,000. A billion. What am I talking about? It's too early in the morning. Sorry, rewind the tape. Cut that bit. 250,000 people, 250,000 people in this country died of COVID. Meanwhile, in Japan, it was like 72,000. And Japan has twice the population. Twice the population. Increased population density. Just bonkers. Absolutely sick. It's sick. But yeah, they'll protect us. They'll protect us through the pandemic. They'll protect us against Russian interference in our democracy. In America, they're trying to protect people against voter fraud, because of the one case of voter fraud that's ever been recorded in the US, and that was for someone who voted for Trump. In this country, you got to show ID now. You got to show a passport or your driving license when you go to vote for some reason, because of the amount of voter fraud was just off the charts. No, people don't care that much, People really don't care that much about politics in life that they will mount a huge amount of voter fraud. Because here's the thing, you don't need to. You can let people vote for who they want. But what you can do, and what Murdoch has been doing for years, and what Zuckerberg is doing now, and what Elon Musk does, is you can convince people to vote the way they want to. You don't have to control what they actually, the mark they put on the paper. You can control them a lot easier, especially with social media being what it is. Brian says, thank you, Graham. You and the community here make it bearable. Oh, thanks, mate. Liz says, a dude punched and kicked me in Y-Pool, and the executive director threatened my membership when I later told the guy not to do it again. Another member stated, I must have done something to cause it. Oh my God, Liz, that is awful. That is awful. We need to just call this out every time, and end the great gaslighting of everyone. Oh, they're probably just making it up, probably just, no. When somebody tells you who they are, believe them. When somebody tells you what's wrong, believe them. Okay? With them. They say, I've got a problem. What is the problem? Tell me what the problem is. I've been assaulted. Believe them. Because 99 times out of 100, they're telling the truth. And it's mad, isn't it? Diz says the new EO in voting ID discriminates against married women. Yes, Diz, this is in America, where they've I don't know if it's an executive order. I think it's an act going through the Congress at the moment. It's called the Save America Act, SAVE in capitals, because they love their little acronyms over there. And the idea is that they're going to make it so that your ID has to match that of your name on the register, and they're only accepting your birth certificate or your passport or your driving license. So if you don't have a driving license in your married name and you don't have a passport in your married name, you've only got your birth certificate. And this is discrimination against trans women, but obviously, or trans men as well, I guess. But everyone seems to forget that trans men exist when they're making these policies. This is discrimination against trans women, but it knocks onto all women who are married who don't have a passport or a birth certificate, a passport or a passport or a driving license, because if they turn up with their birth certificate for ID and it's not the same name, they can't vote because they changed the name because they got married. 70 million American women are in that position, by the way. 70 million. Super chat from Melvin. Thank you. Mel Stride's stupidity yesterday was off the scale. The only thing he wasn't quite as childish as Sunak with his response to the budget last year. I thought Mel Stride was worse. Do you know what it reminded me of? Does anyone remember the League of Gentlemen, right? Do you remember there's a sketch in the League of Gentlemen where it was Death or Mau Mau? It was this guy with his two mates, and they were having a curry or something, and he's trying to tell a joke, and they keep interrupting his joke, and he just gets more and more agitated, more irate, more pissed off, and he's just this ball of absolute rage. He's this businessman who's lost his business, and everyone's left him. And that character. Someone's probably knows the character name in the chat here. It just was Mel Stride. That was Mel Stride yesterday. Just going absolutely bananas about not the stuff that he should have been going bananas about. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was weird. It was contemptible, and I just the response from Daisy Cooper, who's the Treasury, not Shadow Treasury, but the Treasury spokesman for the Lib Dems, was just so much more grown up, sensible, and cutting, because she actually talked about the things that Rachel Reeves was doing that were completely out of order in a sedate way. Like, Mel Stride, I couldn't really understand what he was saying, most of it, because it just sounded like that, and it was just like, what? Oh, Liz Allen, thank you very much, Liz, for the $10 US. Thank you. Happy anniversary. Oh, thank you. 2 years. 2 years and 230 bloody episodes. Wow, it's been mad, hasn't it? It's been a crazy ride. I've only missed one, I think. I'll have to check, but I think I've only missed one morning brew, and that was December. I was on a plane, so I couldn't do the morning brew because or maybe I did do the morning brew. Oh no, I didn't. Did I? Can't remember. I don't think I did, because it would have been the middle of the. Oh, maybe I did before I got on the plane. I did. I think I did. I don't think I missed any. So we could check. I've had a couple where the tech has just gone horribly wrong and I had to abandon it, but I've had a couple of them. But now I kept going. I was in Glastonbury. I did a couple of episodes. I did episodes when I was in Legoland in Denmark. I did episodes when I was in Panama. I was like en route to Panama in the airport. Did episodes of Brew. I mean, there was Island Brew and Mystery Brew while I was away. But yeah, because I couldn't do Morning Brew while I was on the island because we were 5 hours behind. So by the time I got up in the morning, it was already afternoon here. Happy level up. Oh, thank you very much to listen. Thank you very much, Lycian. Thank you. Yvonne says, happy birthday. Joanna says, exchange those US dollars quickly before they're worth nothing. I don't know if that's going to happen. Missed one. Did I miss one? Liz Allen, Lysian, Ivan. Let me just check. Optimistic Nihilist. Ivan, again. Did I miss one? Did I? I'm just going to check now. Gareth T. Optimistic Nihilist. No, I don't. Rosie, I don't think I missed any. But that was fun. Yeah, it was a fun. Should we have a quick look at the papers before I go? Should I have a look? Let me know if you can't be asked. If you want. Well, I pissed off early so you can get ready to listen to James O'Brien. But if you don't want to listen to James O'Brien, what you can do is stick with me for a little bit, and we'll have a look at the newspapers. We've got the Times here with an advert for eBay for some reason. Reeves squeezed by Trump. White House tariffs will hurt budget, warns Watchdog. Chancellor's spring statement raises tax burden to record level. Rachel Reeves faces having to raise taxes or cut spending if President Trump follows through on his threat to impose tariffs on Britain next week, which he probably will actually do because he's a gobshite. Oh, Rosie, thank you very much. We got it. We got a super chat from Rosie. Cheers, Rosie. Graham, you are brilliant. Oh, thanks. Thanks for all your hard work. Happy birthday. Oh, thank you so much. I gotta say, just talking about the show and putting this all together, it's become a lot easier in the last 2 years because of AI. Because that helps me with setting out an episode plan. It helps me with doing the blurb. It helps me with making the thumbnails for the show. And it just makes the whole thing a little bit more polished, a little bit more professional. And good. Even the credits at the end of the show, that would take me absolutely ages if I was having to write it all out manually. When I first started putting people's names at the end of the show, it was literally, I had to, I got a list and then copied and pasted it, but I had to put all the dots between them and all that kind of stuff. Whereas I can just write that into ChatGPT. I can just say, here's a list of people who are members of the channel. I want 3 groups of them with, so divide it by 3, so 50 in each, and then put a dot between them. And it's a circumpunct. Is it a circumpunct? Is that what it's called? The little dot between words? I think so. I don't know. Maybe I learned that by reading a Dan Brown book. Maybe I shouldn't admit that. Oh, wow. Sarah Davis, thank you very much for the £2 super chat, Sarah. That's really kind of you. Yay. Congratulations on 2 years. Barida. That doesn't mean hello. Barida. Thank you very much to Sarah there. That's really kind of you. Brilliant. Okay, so we'll get back to the papers. Deluded. Oh, wow. Richard K. Why this charity vow is nothing short of catastrophic for Harry. Pages 6 and 7. What charity vow? Okay. Is it catastrophic? I don't know. Will he lose his job? 3 pictures of Rachel Reeves. Deluded. She claimed to be restoring economic stability and delivering a decade of national renewal. The reality, our growth forecast this year has been slashed in half, and she's likely to be back for more tax rises in the autumn. Well, I'm all for tax rises for the rich, not for everyone else, just the rich. And then the Daily Mail has just gone straight. Daily Mirror, has just gone straight in with how a lot of us feel here. Balancing the books on the backs of the poor. Rachel Reeves was accused of balancing the books on the backs of the poor after making £4.8 billion worth of benefits cuts. And union boss slams Chancellor, but she says her plan will lead to a better future. Yeah, I don't like it when people gamble like this, on the rest of us. We got The Guardian here. The rise of boom culture, glamour, greed, and sleaze. I don't really know what that means, but okay. Reeves accused of balancing the books at the expense of the poor, quite similar to the Mail, the Mirror. Sorry, stop calling the Mail the Mirror, Graham. Idiot. Welfare cuts will leave 3 million households worse off. Official figures show any US tariff could force more tax rises in the autumn, warns the OBR. It will affect us drastically. The view from Blackpool there. Driving people into poverty will cast a long shadow, and voters won't believe this isn't austerity. It feels like it. Yeah. US group chat included key Yemen raid details. This is about the group chat in America, the signal chat that was covered over the last couple of days. IDF soldiers hit me with rifles, says Oscar winner. The Oscar-winning Palestinian film director Hamdan Balal has said Israeli settlers who attacked him were aided by 2 Israeli soldiers who beat him with the butt of their rifles and threatened to kill him. Jesus Christ. Not great, is it? Not great. Reckless Rachel tanks economy by killing growth. Apparently, this is from the, what's this? Campaign for a Better Britain. Shut up. Daily Express. Tax burden to hit a record high as Chancellor's policies to see outlook for Britain halved. That's it. I mean, there's no more detail in that, is it? Tanks economy by killing growth. I mean, it's a bit rich. These are the same people who said, at last, a real Tory budget. And we're very excited about the mini budget that Liz Truss put in with Kwasi Kwarteng, which did sink the economy. Daily Star here. Letters 2.0 shreds the economy. Is she Liz Truss in disguise? Maybe. I don't know. Don't look up. It's peak seagull, scumbag seagull time. So the seagulls are pooing on people. Okay. 5 years of record taxes. This is from the Daily Express. Reeves won't rule out more increases in the autumn budget. Economy on a knife edge as growth forecast is halved. Yeah, halved from like 2% to 1%. What do you expect? We're not part of Europe anymore. The Daily Telegraph screamed at us that we had to leave Europe immediately. And we did. And now here we are. Chancellor under fire again. Anger at Labour's warfare state. Chancellor Rachel Reeves leaves Downing Street to face MPs yesterday. £2 billion defence boost as Reeves reveals benefit cuts, which will push 250,000 people into poverty. Welfare, not warfare, on this guy's placard there, which is fair enough. Moving on, we've got the Financial Times. The same picture of the Ministry of Silly Walks there, Rachel Reeves. Spring statement, tax rise fears cloud Reeves fiscal fix. Chancellor unveils £14 billion proposal to punch hole in created public finances, 4.8 billion of welfare spending cuts and 3.6 billion in Whitehall savings outlined. Threat of full-blown global trade war puts 9.9 billion pounds of headroom in jeopardy. This is talking about Trump. I mean, you know, if it wasn't for Brexit and Trump, we'll be in the pink. We'd be absolutely in the pink. We'd have enough money for all this stuff that we want to do. But we've had a country that's been mismanaged for 14 years. We've had austerity, Brexit, COVID and Truss. And now we've got Trump. Tax hikes and extra cuts on the way as 250,000 people pushed into poverty by benefit squeeze. Rachel Reeves struggles to find any growth with forecasts for 2025 halved to 1% amid fears of global uncertainty and Trump tariffs. I love the global uncertainty and Trump's tariffs. No, the global uncertainty is caused by Donald Trump. Like literally that's caused by him. So there you go. Anyway, back. They've gone with seagulls shitting because they know their readers won't understand big words and concepts. Yeah. Although the Daily Star is hilarious when it wants to be. I mean, you know, they came up with the Lettuce Liz thing that she is going to have to live with now for the rest of her days. Purity says, I've been told about this mythical better future since 1979. It's like the Arc-Light thing in Apocalypse Now. Every time I hear something terrible happens. Yeah. Well, I mean, I just laugh about the whole hydrogen's coming to save us that I've been hearing all my fucking life. Okay, why is it always 10 years away? Having hydrogen fuel your car defies the laws of physics and practicality. Two things that are immutable. The laws of physics, the laws of practicality. Smash them together. Maybe we could work something on the quantum level, but I don't think it would be very practical. So, you know. What do you want? Do you want practicality? Do you want practicality? Do you want physics? Wind turbines. Yeah, solar panels. Loads of them. Yeah, good. Get loads of batteries and distribute them around the country in people's cars. Then you have a massive bank of millions of batteries to draw energy from, should you need to. That's the way to do it. MZ, Graham, congratulations on your channel's first 2 years, and here's to many more. We'll certainly repay this later, smashing that. Oh, thank you very much, MZ. Thank you. That's really kind of you. Dave Moore, innocence until proven guilty is a requirement of human rights laws. It only applies to judge and jury at the start of a trial and applies to everyone, both sides. Yeah, exactly. But if you're saying like that this person obviously didn't do it until they're proved that they did it in a court of law, that's where it's like, no. That Jimmy Savile definitely did the things he did, right? He was never found guilty in a court of law because he died before anyone could, like, bring him to justice. He still did those awful things. Hitler never stood trial. He still did those awful things. So yeah, it's not like, oh no, you can't say Hitler was guilty of the Holocaust and starting World War II. No, you can't say he was guilty of that because, there wasn't a trial. Who's to say? Anyway, Ivan, I genuinely have a real fear of seagulls, says Ivan. Move away from the sea then. We don't see too many seagulls here in Durham. Maybe on the Durham coast, but out here where I am near the city, we don't get too many seagulls, thankfully. Liverpool has seagulls. I had a friend who lived just down by the docks. I had a couple of friends, actually, that lived just off Dale Street in Liverpool city centre, the business area. And every morning at 5 a.m, they were woken up by a flock of seagulls. The band, A Flock of Seagulls, lived nearby, and they used to just bang on everyone's doors. I met the guy from Flock of Seagulls, famous for having crazy haircuts. He's completely bald now. True story. True story. Anyway, no, they were always woken up by like caw, 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 every morning of the seagulls down at the docks in Liverpool. It looks really nice on the pictures. But then when you live there, you need quite thick glass. Triple glazing. Happy birthday, says Veg Pie. Oh, thank you very much, Veg Pie, for the £5 super chat and the wishing of the happy birthday. So it's not my birthday, it's the anniversary, isn't it? The anniversary of the Brew. So we started Labour Social 2 years ago, and obviously just in the run-up to the election last year for various reasons. One, I didn't want to be seen as a mouthpiece of the government once it was obvious Labour were getting into power. Also, I wanted to promote tactical voting because I wanted as many Tories out as possible, and that's not something that you're supposed to do when you're promoting Labour. You're not supposed to say, hey, if you live in a Green constituency, why not vote for the Greens? Or a constituency where the Greens could win. Lib Dems, SNP, Plaid Cymru, anyone who wasn't the Tories, yeah, vote for them. And also I wanted to get people on the channel who weren't necessarily conservatives. Conservatives, Jesus, what's wrong with me? People on the channel who weren't necessarily Labour. Apart from Tory Wayne, obviously, who's very welcome. But yeah, and that's why I changed the name of the channel. But I still want it to be... I had this idea in my head that Labour's terrible at comms, and we were trying to help them by setting up a channel where it was me and Phil and other contributors who could like do our own shows and stuff like that. But we kind of expected a little bit, when we set it up, that we'd get a bit of support. Not necessarily from Labour itself, but from Labour donors, Labour supporters, Labour, there's a group called like the Red Rose Movement or something, the Red Rose Committee, I don't know, and it's all these millionaires who don't donate to Labour. There's not many of them, but yeah, none of them are interested in getting involved in the Labour social channel. So it's just like, oh well, sod it then. It would have been really good like that first year if we had some kind of like corporate backing. But the mad thing is, it's like if I wanted to do something like a cross promotion with a brand or with YouTube, even they were like, oh no, because it's named after a political party, so we can't really get involved. I'm like, okay, well, I'll get some Labour supporters to help out. Yeah, the ones with deep pockets, but they're not interested. They're just so not interested. It's quite depressing, actually, that the rich in this country do not want to help the struggling content creators on the left. Like the fact that you've got there's a few left-wing millionaires, and it's like, help us make content that goes against the Tory narrative, goes against the Murdoch narrative, the Musk narrative, the toxic manosphere narrative, stuff that is trans inclusive, the stuff that is, an ally to LGBTQ IA rights, a channel that isn't so far up Trump's arse they can see the future, a channel that's not pro-Kremlin, a channel that's not pro-Tory, the demonization of the poor, demonization of disabled people, demonization of people from other countries. I just don't understand to a certain extent why not one of these very wealthy people who I'm sure watch, maybe not this content, but they'll probably watch Tan stuff or watch Aid stuff or something, or watch Phil stuff, and they don't say, hey, do you know what? I'm going to bankroll you so you can like literally go all out. You can pay someone to work with you on the channel to produce your stuff, so you don't have to do that yourself. You can concentrate on the content. They can concentrate on setting up the camera, the lights. No, wrong way around. Lights, camera, monitors, text, thumbnail, everything set up. I did like when I used to have the green screen behind me. I'd come down to do the show in the morning. I'd turn everything on, and then I'd realise that my t-shirt had a bit of green here, so like a hole in the middle of me. And I'm like, oh shit! And I had to run upstairs and change my top, come back down again. It's just like things like that you would not think about. And then the disaster is always when you go live and something fucks up when you press the go live button. It's like I can't hear Phil, or the internet just stops, or it says, the content not found, or I need to get a new stream key or something like that. And I'm like, and then I get all fucking panicky. But the weird thing is that I'm a lot more clear in my thinking when I'm panicked. This is an ADHD thing. So when there's a stressful situation, that's when my logic circuits really kick in. And ADHD people are apparently the best people to have around in a disaster, in a crisis situation, because in those situations, their brain just clicks into place. They don't panic. They just think really clearly of like what needs to be done. Do this. And so like a lot of this show, a lot of the stuff that gets produced on here is just like, it's 99% troubleshooting when like things go wrong. It's why it would really, really help to have someone else whose job it was to be out there, with working on the shows. They don't have to be here in my house. They could be doing it remotely, but gets to say to me, right, Graham, are you in place? If you got your cup of tea, yeah, okay, right, let's go. Here's what you need to talk about. I don't need a lot of prep for these shows, because I generally know to a certain extent about, don't know everything, but I'm fairly across what's happening in the world at the moment. It will make my life so much easier, but also it would improve the quality of the content for you watching this. And it does beg a belief that there are so many great content creators, but there are so few people who claim that they don't want the likes of Trump getting into power. They claim that they don't like the fact that Boris Johnson got into power, and that Jacob Rees-Mogg was an actual MP. He was actually a minister. He was actually he was in charge of Parliament, wasn't he? What was the role that he had? It was like he decided when the debates were going to be on, and he was in charge during the COVID lockdown, and he was saying everyone has to come back into Parliament and pass their germs on to people, because he's a fucking knobhead. But yeah, that position that he was given, and they're like, oh, I hate the fact that we left the EU, and I'm like, okay, how much money have you lost for us leaving the EU? Oh, my business has gone tits up, and I'm losing so much money, and I can't afford my mortgage repayments. And like, wouldn't it have been a smart thing to do back in like 2016 or even 2015, before we were fully into the referendum, to support people who were fighting against Brexit? Because this is another thing. When we were fighting against Brexit, we had one arm tied behind our back the whole time, because we weren't getting support from the opposition, the leader of the opposition in any case. And we were just getting no support from the establishment whatsoever. There were very, very rich people going on TV saying, oh, Brexit's going to be a disaster. And then we're sitting there going, well, can you help? Can you fund us? And it was all grassroots. There was the People's Vote campaign, which was set up by a Tory who, Amber Rudd's brother. And it seems to me like, looking back, it might have been a sabotage effort on the Tories' part to, make sure that we never really got our shit together. but it was lack of funds more than anything else. We remember like just trying to get some money together to organise a rally, a march, just to have a stage bus so we could, have a stage. We had the bollocks to Brexit bus that travelled around the country. It was all done on a shoestring. No, an absolute shoestring. Meanwhile, the other side have just got millions to play with. Aaron Banks gave Nigel Farage's outfit, he gave them £7 million to convince people that their biggest problem in life was EU regulations on banana shapes. And they're not even regulations, just EU classifications of different shapes of bananas. So you have Class A that gets sold in the supermarkets. You have Class B, which, might be sold commercially, but generally, whatever. And then you've got Class C, which are all deformed, but are still bananas. No one's going to buy them, but you can sell them to the banana biscuit making company because they don't care what shape the banana is. They're just going to peel them and throw them into their big vat full of banana cream that they're making. Insane. Jazz Hunt, those people don't want people with principles, Graham. They made their money with the system. Why would they change it? I'm minded to agree with you, Jazz. I mean, I'm sure they all have their own little pet project that they want to see come to fruition. But I think they lack the ability to take a step back and look at the bigger ecosystem. Who are young people listening to? What streams are people watching? What podcasts are people watching, are listening to? And we need support. It's very difficult to do all this by yourself, as anyone who's tried will tell you. I mean, I don't know if you make it look easy, but there's a lot of skills that you need in order to put them all together to actually make something that looks professional online and put it out to people each day. And it's not just like 5 minutes before the show, like everything comes together. It's not like that. I wake up at 6:30 in the morning to prep for these shows. That's the way it is. And you could argue, oh, you're only working for an hour, Graham. And I'm like, I'm absolutely not. And then as soon as this is finished, I have to do the next thing that I'm working on. I'm going to spend a bit of time this afternoon researching Democratic Republic of Congo and getting all my notes together to talk about it this evening at 6:00 for Hughes of the World, which I recommend that you join me for tonight because it's going to be a bit of an eye-opener, I think, for some people. But if you're not in the best of mental states at the moment, please do not join me for Hughes of the World. It's fine. We'll do fine without you. It's just that the story of the Democratic Republic of Congo is fucked. And I don't even mean it was fucked many, many years ago. No, it was fucked 125 years ago. It was fucked 25 years ago. It is fucked now, right? There's things that have gone on in that place that are horrific and hardly anyone knows about them because it just doesn't get mentioned, The First and Second Congolese Wars ended in the deaths of over 6 million people. And they happened in the late 90s and the beginning of this new century. Only 25 years ago. 25 years ago. And no one heard anything about it. At the time, it wasn't called the Democratic Republic of Congo. It was called Zaire. And that's the thing, we don't know this stuff because it didn't affect us. Meanwhile, at the same time, there was a village in Nigeria that had an outbreak of Ebola, and that was all over the news internationally. Because it was like, oh, the Ebola might come here. It might affect us. So, please tune into that if you've got a stomach for it. If not, I will be back tomorrow at 9:00. That's the time. I'll be back tomorrow at 9:00 with another morning brew. Episode, what was it, 531? What else have we got? I'm just going to say hello to everyone in the chat before I go, actually. Tory Wayne AstroTurf. Gallifreyan Ren says, right, I'm off to find some suitable music to see if I can get 500 words of fiction down without a total anxiety meltdown. Oh, brilliant. Okay, well, you good luck with that. And cancel last, read your comment. Good luck. Pigeons are harmless, says one angry pagan. Flying rats. Bye, dears. Have a great day. Inner hype. I used to work in the Port of Liverpool building and the seagulls went as shavers nowadays. Shav seagulls. Love it. Purity says, I have a robin who I've nearly got to land on my hand to take mealworms. He's gorgeous. Love a nice little robin. Pete, we leave our cat carriers in the lounge and they treat them as spare beds. It's a deliberate policy. Christopher says, I can't think of a billionaire that would fund you without asking for editorial guidelines. Yeah, that's you've hit the nail on the head there. That the idea of factory records, of just letting the talent speak for itself, it can work, New Order, but then it can also really not work. In the case of the Happy Mondays, where they went all off to Jamaica for 3 months to record an album, and they just ended up wasting millions of dollars and millions of pounds, and getting off their tits every day. So yeah, I mean, there is an element of managerial control that you need just to make sure that the stuff is getting made. But when it comes to editorial control, that's something completely different, and that's what we don't need. We don't need editorial control. We need a little bit of managing. That's fine, give us times things go out, make sure it's consistent each day or each week, make sure you're putting out high quality content, etc. like that. But the actual content itself, that should be up to us as the creators, because this is what we do. We create content. And the people I've spoken to who have had money, I'm not casting aspersions on anyone, I'm not naming any names or anything, but yeah, you're absolutely right, Christopher. They've wanted editorial control. They've thought, well, what if you say something? What if Femi says something? What if Zoe says something that is, out of order? And like, the right wing don't give a shit about that. They will fund mouthpieces like Lawrence Loser Fox. They'll fund Haiti Hopkins. They'll fund Nigel fucking Farage. Spill his poison out all over the airwaves. They don't care. They don't care if he says something inappropriate or something that they personally don't agree with, because that's not the point. They're bringing in people to listen to the rest of it. But yeah, you've got that, I don't know, purity tests, I guess. But yeah, I can see exactly. Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. 100%. Tim Nat says, it's good this channel changed its name for Labour Social. If you brand it Labour, I think it's only fair that you toe their corporate line. After all, you represented them, but now you can have your opinion. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I didn't want to be a mouthpiece for the government. I certainly wouldn't want to be fucking trying to justify what Rachel Reeves did yesterday. Fuck that. Purity Vendetta. I bought a Canon 5D Mark II with the idea of making films, but my confidence and drive just evaporated. I'm sorry. Was that me? No, just shoot stuff. Just shoot stuff. Like, so I'll tell you a little bit of the history of this channel. So I went to the Labour Party conference in 2022 to try and talk to people who might want to fund the channel to get it set up, right? And I spent 4 months after that, asking around, trying to get, putting meetings together and stuff to try and get some funding. And, I made countless presentations and PDFs and video shorts and things to say what we wanted to plan to do and who we were going to get involved and all this. And it was just nothing. It was just like everything was just wait. And I'm like, I'm ADHD. I don't like to wait. And I'll tell you this now, right? So this goes to purity and vendetta. Just fucking do it, right? I launched this channel with nothing. I just launched it. I just went, okay, I'm just going to do it. I can make the graphics myself. I can make the animations myself. I can just, I can talk myself. I'll just start the channel and see how it goes, right? And it's been a success, a moderate success, but overall it's been a success. We've built a nice little community here. When I went to every country in the world, oh wow, Jesus Christ, Robalis, thank you very much for the £50 mega chat. With a mega chat! Whoop! Thank you, Robalis. Thank you so much. Happy anniversary, great work. Thank you. I might chunder on. Does anyone want me to keep going? Do you want to go and listen to James O'Brien? It's Mystery Hour today, so it's only like 2 hours of good stuff, and then it all goes a bit silly. But yeah, maybe you can listen to James on catch up. Maybe I'll just hang around for a bit longer, since Robalis has just dropped £50 in the super chat fund that I really should keep yakking on until there's a little timer. Do you get the timer as well? The little timer at the top of the chat, and it sort of counts down for the more money that you give, the longer the timer stays up there. So maybe I'll just keep streaming. I've still got loads of coffee left. Robalavis, that is really, really generous. Thank you so much. Alistair has given 5 thumbs up. Brilliant. Yeah. So just to mention my travels around the world, and I know people just start rolling their eyes at this point, but I had this idea of going to every country in the world without flying. And I took it to The Guardian, and I met with the travel editor at the time in a meeting in London and said, this is my plan. And I said, I've got it all planned out. I'm going to every country in the world without flying. And he just really wasn't going for it. He thought that I'll die. He mentioned something about like, what if some kid tries to, shoot you in Sierra Leone or something? I'm like, well, then I'll be dead. What do you want me to do? He's like, so I originally pitched it as a blog. I was going to do it as a written travel blog. I have a friend who worked for The Guardian doing a travel blog about eating kebabs around the world. Funnily enough, I met her again while she was doing this blog back in 2002. I met her in a guest house, like a backpackers in Kuala Lumpur, and our paths crossed. And I'm like, "What are you doing here?" And she's like, "I'm doing a thing for The Guardian. Like, I'm going around the world trying the kebabs in all these different countries." And I'm like, "I want your job." Anyway, so yeah. That was really nice. But that was kind of inspiring as well, meeting Ellie along the way. I then took the idea to Lonely Planet, and they were a bit more on side with it. They were a bit more like, yeah, this is something that sounds good to us. It sounds interesting. And their big question for me is it durable? And I had all my Lonely Planet books to go, yeah, I've researched it. Well, actually, they weren't my books at the time. I got them from Liverpool Central Library, but I'd worked out how to get from one country to the next, or at least at 184 of them. They were a bit more, backing me, but it got to a point where there was some discussions going on between the commissioners, who were National Geographic, the distributors, that was BBC Worldwide, and the actual production company, which was Lonely Planet TV. And they were trying to get the budget together and all this. And I just my thing all the way through was like, I'm doing this anyway. I'm not relying on you to give me the money to do this. I'm doing it anyway. And I went ahead and just did it. I started it on January the 1st with my own money that I'd saved up a few £1,000s. I flew to Brazil and then traveled down to Buenos Aires. And I was in Buenos Aires on January the 1st. That's when the clock started. That's when the mission started, and I crossed over the River Plate into Uruguay, and that was country number 1 of the journey. And it wasn't for 2 months of me traveling. So by the time I got the contract to do the actual show with Lonely Planet, because I was filming myself anyway, I was doing all the stuff that I said I was going to do. Because I started, Lonely Planet paid for a cameraman to be with me for the first couple of days when I was in Argentina, which was fantastic. So I, didn't have to film everything myself. They got these shots, and it wasn't until I had gone to every country in the Caribbean, every country in South America, almost every country in Central America, every country in North America apart from Canada, before I got the contract to do it. They were like, okay, quick, sign this contract, and we'll make the TV show, because I'd already started it. And I'm very much like that. I'm very much like, let's do the show right here. Let's just give it a go, see if it works. Because if you wait for things to be perfect, they'll never happen. They'll never happen. And I'm not trying to be some inspirational speaker or whatever, because I'm not, right? I just know what works for me. And I know that if I procrastinate and just try to get everything looking exactly perfect, it'll never happen. And it's why I struggle with pre-records. So it's not that, I can't record myself on the camera and then edit it together and then put it online. I can do that. I've got that now. So I've got the facilities to do that. However, I will fuck around with that video for all time because I want it to be perfect before I put it out. And why the live stuff works for me so effectively is because I just have to do it. I have to be here, sitting in the seat at 9 o'clock, ready to press go. Because I know that I've got 97 people waiting to watch. And that pressures me to just go, do you know what? The thumbnail's not perfect, but it'll do. And when I make a mistake, I don't have to go back and edit that mistake out. I can just say, oh, sorry, did I say 250 million people? That's like 3 times more people than there are in the United Kingdom. That wasn't the right thing. I can edit. If it's a pre-record, I can edit that out. But obviously, being live, I can just say, well, no, I fucked that up by an order of magnitude, didn't I? It was 250,000. But yeah, it's something that I've always felt all my life. When there's ever been a gatekeeper, a custodian holding the opportunity to do that thing that I want to do, every time in my life, every fucking time, and I'm 46 and I've been doing this now for 25 years, right? I've been doing this kind of shit, not necessarily this show, but filming stuff, editing stuff, putting stuff together, putting stuff online, making. Every time I've waited for, pitch something to someone and said, can we make this? Can we do this? Give me some money to do this. It never has happened. When it has happened is when I've just gone, oh, fuck it, I'll just do it myself. And yeah, it's not been as professional as I wanted it to be. It's not been as perfect as I wanted it to be, but I forced myself to do it. And it's one of the reasons why I love deadlines. I love competitions. I'll always go for a competition because I'll have a deadline. I'll have a clear deadline of when I have to have that script written or that short film put together or that little sketch put together or whatever. There's an absolute deadline. I will stay up all night and get it done. But if there is no deadline, then and so when I was doing the pre-record last year, I stopped doing them. Not out of laziness, but it was that I wasn't seeing my family. I was staying up. I was running out to eat and then coming back in here. And it was just before midnight before I was finally happy with the 3 fucking versions of the video that I had to do with subtitles for TikTok, which was 9:16 for this thing. What's it? YouTube, which is 16:9, and then there was a square version for fucking Instagram. It's like I'm getting all the subtitles right and getting all the lighting and it. Anyway, Kinlard, thank you very much for the Kinlard super chat, £2. Thank you very much, Kinlard. Sorry for not seeing that earlier. I think it got swamped by Robolaris's massive mega chat there. Jane says, thank you, Graham. I love this community you've built. It's literally been a lifesaver for me. Oh, Jane, thank you for saying that. But, thanks for being part of it. And I'm glad that we could do that. We could, we build something together. Even if it is slightly shonky, we can build something together. One of the things that happened around the time that we launched 2 years ago, it was when GB News was still fairly new and they were just having so many technical problems. And it was just fucking hilarious. It was absolutely hilarious to see this company that had been given millions and millions and millions of pounds by the likes of the banjo player from fucking Mumford and Sons' dad. To do this TV channel. It was so unprofessional. It was so shonky. And I'm watching it going, bloody hell, I can do something better than that from our spare room. Do you know what I mean? It's mad, innit? Purity, your idea of low-budget horror films inspired me. Perhaps something based on that Hammer House of Horror vibe. In a previous life, I was a theatre sound designer and engineer. Yeah, Purity. When we're talking about waiting for someone to come along and say, yeah, you can do it. So some of the short films that I've made, I made them for competitions. In fact, all of them are made for competitions, in fact. And we made them for no budget whatsoever. But we had professional actors, we had professional special effects, we had, put it all together. And I'm like amazed at what you can do for like fuck all. With the technology that we've got, because everyone can film stuff on their phone and it's pretty good. And now, if your sound is fucked, you can put it through an AI filter and it sorts it out. I'm going through my old footage from when I was traveling like 25, 30 years ago. And I'm boosting it up to like 4K. It looks fucking amazing. Like the stuff we can do now for nothing. For nothing, the technology we have in our hands is amazing. It's just putting it all together and having the will, the time to do it all is so important. But one of the things I'm dreaming about now at the moment is either offloading Ginger Island or getting an investor to take it over and just give me a bit of money so I can pay off my debts and just have a little bit of money left over so I can start doing the low budget horror films that I want to do, which I know I can make for a few grand. Like, I'm not talking about like megabucks, millions or whatever, but I've got them planned out in such a way that the first movie, if it makes a profit, then I can put that into the second movie, which then goes into the third movie, which then goes into the fourth movie, and the budget of each one gets ratcheted up as it goes along. And it would mean I don't have to ask anyone's fucking permission. You know? And the way things are now with streaming, I don't necessarily have to put it out at the cinema. You have your movie and you put it out at the cinema and no one goes to see it, you just lose loads of money. You know, your distributor loses loads of money. Your distributor's not going to want to do that. But nowadays, it's a lot easier. So yeah, there's the bringing together of technology, and stuff, as well as the bringing together of the fact that, you know, we have more interconnectivity than ever before. I suppose that's technology as well. But we've got more opportunities to tell our stories on different platforms than ever before, not just on streaming, but on YouTube, etc. Yes, that's the vibe. I need to kick myself into gear, says Purity Vendetta. Yeah, just do it. Just do it. Even if it's a bit shit. So there's a psychological experiment, I think, you know, like so I mean more of like a sociological experiment, I guess, than psychological. But what it was they had two groups in a university or school, right? And one of them was told they had 6 months to make a perfect clay jar, right? They had to make a clay jar. They had 6 months to do it, and it had to be absolutely perfect. The other group was told they had to make a clay jar every single day. Every single day for the next 6 months, you had to make a clay jar. And when they started off, they were shit. But by the end of the 6 months, when they compared the people who made one clay jar with the people who made lots of them, the ones who were making lots of clay jars made perfect clay jars by the end of it. And the ones that were supposed to be perfect were crap in comparison. The reason being is that the people who made 500 of these bloody things were learning as they went along. So they made so many of them. They learned the mistakes. They learned the right way to do it. Whereas the other people, it was a one shot. It was a one thing of like, okay. So if you have a dream movie that you want to make in your head, or a dream book that you want to write, or whatever, build up to it. Build up to it, because the first thing you write isn't going to be perfect. The first film you make isn't going to be perfect by any stretch of the imagination. So save that great idea. Save that. Keep the powder dry for that, and make 500 pots. Just keep making the things that you make 500 episodes of Morning Brew. You might get it right in the end. You might get it right. But yeah, it's something that I really believe in. I think that we should, come up with ways to beat the system in that way with the tools that we have at the moment. And what it requires is essentially, the feeling that it's okay to fail. It's okay to fuck up. Keep trying, keep plugging away. Eventually something will work out. That's my philosophy. And you might look at me and go, Graham, when I get to your age, Graham, I'd like to be a bit more advanced in my, in things in life. And I'm like, well, I'm having a good time. I'm having a good time. Make a comedy horror, says Inner Hype. Yeah. Just prompt chat GPT 10 minutes later, done. Chat GPT's great for helping out with scripts. It is. I'm not going to lie. It is. It's fantastic. I mean, it can't write the script for you because it's got no sense of context and it won't write in your voice. One of the things that I found when I was doing the pre-records last year is I tried to get ChatGPT to help me write the script, as in like what I would say. And it was shite. It was just shite because it wasn't my voice. I have a particular way of speaking and I have a particular way of writing. And trying to read someone else's words never came as naturally to me. I don't know why. It's just that thing of like trying to put two words together that you would never put together yourself. Just doesn't flow as freely in your brain. So for instance, if I had a script that was written by AI about a political thing that had happened, I'd have to do so many more takes for that to get it right. Because I was trying to do them all as one takes without any edits. And the ones that I wrote myself, first or second time. Honestly, I'm not blowing smoke up your ass by going, oh, you know, what amazing, I can do it all in one take. But because they were the words that I wrote, the words, obviously I thought about them for writing them, and then obviously I'm not just reading them, I'm also remembering them, and also they are the words that I wrote, so it flows in the way that I speak. It made all the difference. So when it comes to stuff like writing a script, AI can help to a certain extent. AI can really help with things like pointing out plot holes and plugging them. You can ask you say, you've got this plot hole, give me some suggestions on how to get out of it. I'll give you suggestions. Hollywood script writers, please take note. So it's good for that. It's good for the structure of a film, for a film script. For the actual dialogue, it's no, it doesn't really do it. The Tolkien route, essentially. Well, yeah, Tolkien didn't write a book, did he? He wrote an entire mythology, and the books were sort of offshoots from that mythology that he had invented. I mean, Tolkien's output, if you imagine like how big Lord of the Rings is, his output when he was alive is just the tip of the iceberg. And then you've got the whole mythology, which came out in subsequent years, edited by his son, Christopher Tolkien, the Silmarillion, Unfinished Tales, the Lays of Beleriand. Was that what it's called? I don't know. I read it a long time ago. The Book of Lost Tales, 1 and 2. They map out the history of this place, and Lord of the Rings is just the last few years of the Third Age. And each age lasts for thousands of years. Wow. You might have a plot in mind, but the setting drives the background for a story. That's true. Ernie says, I'm writing a sci-fi story. DeepSeek is a useful tool. If nothing else, it's quite supportive. Yes, it is. That's something else, Ernie. I've got Ernie's. Ernie's got a book. It's on my bookshelf over there. He wrote a book of poetry. It's really good. Something else that it's really good at is being split. So if you've got a job to do, you can put into AI, whether you're using, I don't know, fucking Microsoft Assistant or whatever it's fucking called, or whether you're using ChatGPT or DeepSeek. You can say to it, I am trying to do this task, or I have these tasks to do. Please help me get them done. And it'll say, okay, you start, we'll start with something small. Why don't you do this? And then you go, okay. So you go away and you do it, and you come back and say, right, I've done that. What should I do now? It's like, well done, brilliant, so good. And it's really encouraging, and it's really, really helpful and supportive. One thing as well, I would say, is in any creative endeavor, try not to get dead excited about it and show it to someone who doesn't give a fuck. Okay, I can't stress this enough, because it is so demoralizing when you come in and you go, I've got this brilliant idea. It's this, and then this, and then this happens. And they're just like, oh, that's nice. And you're like, oh. So if you've got someone who's quite excitable, who gets excited by ideas, talk to them. Because the last thing you want is when you come and you've just spent the last 2 weeks working on a script, night and day, putting it together. It's beautiful, and you're dead excited about it. And then you say, oh, I've got this. Oh, what's it about? Oh, it's about this thing that, oh, that's a bit like, and then they mention a film. It's usually nothing like the film that they think it's a bit like. But their first instinct isn't to say, well done for writing the script. That's a really difficult thing to do. Or, oh, God, tell me more. No, it's like, that's a bit like this other thing that I've heard of. If you ever do that, please stop. Please don't do that when someone's done a creative endeavor. Try not to go, oh, that looks a bit like this. That sounds a bit like this. Don't say that. Unless it's an obvious rip. If I turned up and said, I've got this idea for a film called The Traitrix, and it's about a guy who lives in this computer-generated simulation of life, and then he gets unplugged from it, and he comes out and he finds out what life is really like, and it's horrible. And you're like, then just go back in the Matrix. But yeah, try and stay away from Debbie Downers. Try and stay away from Nigel Negative when you're doing a creative endeavor, because it really does knock you for six. I've had this many, many times in my life. I still remember a pithy, critical line that one of my friends said about my first book that I wrote, and it devastated me, like absolutely, because it was like something that I could do absolutely nothing about. I'd asked them to have a look through the book for any typos. That was it. Typos. They were looking for typos. But they identified what they saw as a fundamental flaw with the entire book, and I'd spent 6 months writing this fucking thing, and I wasn't about to rewrite the whole fucking thing. But and the criticism was something that I couldn't do anything about. Even if I had rewritten the book, it would still have this problem, because the problem was me. The problem was my style of writing, the way I write. But yeah. So get started. Just do it yourself. If it's shit, that's fine. Keep going. You get better. Like I said, for this channel, right? 99% of it is troubleshooting, but I know what to do. That's the difference. Like when something goes wrong now, I generally go, okay, I know why Zoom isn't appearing. I know why my volume is going down. So last night we did the show with Rachel, the rabbit hole, and we had, because I couldn't get through to Zoom, I had to use Google Meet, and Google Meet has this really bad habit of pushing down your audio levels without you telling it to on your computer. So as a result of that, I had to I had to reset Google Chrome, and as a result of that, it made Rachel turn off. But at least I knew what I had to do. So while Rachel was talking, I'm not having to Google what to do. I know what to do in that situation, because the same thing happened last year with Phil when I was using Google Meet and my volume was going down. Walangi Pagan, thank you very much. Sorry, I need to show your comments. Sorry, it flashes up when I need to show people's comments. I'm used to people being negative to me because of my appearance, so I don't really let those arseholes bring me down. True. Martin says, at Sony, we had the whole department, the whole storyboard concepts to make pictures and management clear and remove any chance of misinterpretation. That's really cool. Anne says, in Victorian books, they used to sometimes change the perspective with different characters, take turns to tell the story. Dracula was one such that was quite popular. Yeah, absolutely. It's a book of... there's a word, isn't it, for a book that's written as letters and diary entries. Someone's going to tell me the fancy name. Diuretic? No, that's tea, isn't it? That makes you go to the toilet. What's the word? It's something etic, isn't it? Uretic? Someone tell me what it is. The type of book where it's all diary entries and letters from different characters put together, because that's what Dracula is. Bram Stoker's Dracula. I love the ghost stories of M.R. James, probably your favourite ghost writer. Will Graham make it to 2 hours? Yeah, I may as well. 2 years, 2 hours. What do you reckon? I've still got a little bit of time on the £49.99 at the top there, super chat. So let's just what do we got? We got 12 minutes. We can do that. We can pad it out. If you have a go at stuff, it can lead in a totally different direction than you planned, says Billy. Yeah. One of the things that has been found with people who are creative, some people just aren't very creative, and it's not their fault. They just aren't. But they're usually quite good at getting shit done, more than creative people. So you've got this weird dichotomy of humanity, which you've got the people who get shit done, but they're generally not creative. And then you've got the people who are creative, but they generally don't get shit done. And that's why I think that any partnership is a good thing. Like when I'm writing scripts, I usually have someone to bounce ideas off, to talk about how I'm developing the scripts, where the characters are going to go at different beats, the different character arc of each character, etc., etc. As the script progresses, because I find like that Socratic method is really good. Diegetic, that's the word. Diegetic. Thank you very much to Scott 3. It's a diegetic novel. Dracula. It's epistolary on a quick search. Doesn't rip off the side. No, I think it's diegetic. I think the word that I was trying to think of was diegetic, which is why I said diuretic, which is something very different. But yeah, having someone to bounce the ideas off and stuff like that, having someone who gets shit done to help you as a creative person get the shit done that you need to get done. The other thing is that there was a story about how I think it was like architects, right? So there was a firm of architects, and they'll be given a brief. They'll be given like 3 days to come up with something. And the people who were get shit done people sat down and started sketching straight away. Whereas the more creative people, the more out the box thinkers, will not do anything for the first day. They'll go for a walk. They'll, go feed the birds, go for a pie. I mean, they'll do anything but work. And I get this. And the reason being is they're waiting for inspiration to come. And one of the weird things about ADHD that I've discovered is that inspiration, for me, there's two types that I get. There's the panic inspiration where I've got to get something done because there's a deadline at 9 o'clock and I need to get that thing done. And the problem solving bit of my brain really, really kicks in at that point. The other thing is when I'm doing a mundane task. And this is why I came back from the island with not just one, not just two, not just three, but 4 solid ideas for horror films, 4 very different horror films, all about class, but different scenarios, different characters, different people. And the reason why I came back from the island with all those ideas is because I did the island brew in the morning for me, and then I got to work moving soil every day. I was picking soil out of a boat, putting it over my shoulder, carrying it 100 meters, dumping it on the island. And that's what I was doing every day for 3 weeks. And while I was doing that, my brain was just fizzing. Ideas were coming thick and fast of, what I could, what I could write, what I could do. Dialect Dalek. This is fab. We should do these things free form, chat things more often. Thanks, Graham. I'm finding this very motivating. Oh, brilliant, Purity Vendetta. I'm glad you're finding it motivating. Alchemist. As an artist creative for over 30 years, my input means absolutely nothing. I think that if you can make stuff for yourself without the people holding you back, the gatekeepers and the naysayers, just do it. Just do it. And the more you do something, the better you get at it. It's as simple as that. The more I present stuff, the better I get at it. I take it you read The Way of Weird by Brian Bates. Fantastic books. I've not read that. But One Angry Pagan might have done. Imagine you're right about diegetic. I've never heard the word before. There aren't many words I haven't heard before. Anagorosis. Is it anagorosis? Is that the correct pronunciation? The anagoretic moment of a film is the moment where it's the moment of realization. Usually the moment of emotional breakdown in a film, and it's called the anagoretic moment from the Greek. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, and the actual word is called anagorosis or something. It's a really hard word to pronounce. I'm sure someone will put it into a chat in a moment. But it's interesting when you watch a film and you go, I just saw the anagoretic moment. And it's usually the moment that all the feelings that have been pent up throughout the film come flooding out. A really good example is the end of... Sorry, I'm going to spoil a couple of movies here. So if you haven't seen Sideways or Anora, put your fingers in your ears. In Sideways, about the wine trip with Paul Giamatti, wine trip around... California, the anagoretic moment is the moment where he drinks the really expensive wine out of a plastic cup at the end of the film. That's his moment of realization. In Anora, it's the very last scene where they're in the car together, where she bursts into tears, and that is that moment. Seminal moment, says Alchemist. The word was diegetic. What was this? Yes, it was. Every word had to be made up at one time. Someone's saying that these words are made up. No, it's just, classic story beats. Every film is the same thing. Every film, right? Here we go. Let's talk about movies for a moment, just for the last few minutes. Every movie's the same story. Somebody wants something and they're having trouble getting it. If you can think of a film in which that's not the plot, I'll be very, very impressed. Somebody wants something and they're having trouble getting it. So think of a horror movie. Someone wants to not be stabbed. They're having trouble not getting stabbed. You think of like any movie where, someone falls in love. They want the person they want to fall in love with, and they want a happy life. They want to, they're having trouble getting that because of the obstacles placed in the way by the aliens that have invaded or whatever it is, it's someone wants something and they're having trouble getting it. 3-act structures, says Christopher Bowles. Yeah, so every movie, there's 3-act structures. There's the rising action of the first act, which is where you establish the characters, you set the stakes, and you set up the adventure. Then you have the middle bit of the film where they are on the adventure and they are learning things and they're getting better at stuff, and it all seems to be going really, really well until the end of Act 2, which is the mentor's graveyard. That's the point in every movie when Obi-Wan Kenobi dies. Sorry, spoilers. That's the point in every movie where all seems lost, where they all get unplugged from the Matrix. It's the point where Superman loses his powers or whatever it is. There's this low point of the movie where it's like, oh my God, this is awful. And then the last act, the hero, dusts themselves down and they go on to win. Now, if it's a tragedy, it's the exact opposite of that, pretty much. It starts off with someone who's not a dreamer awakening and going on an adventure, naive, blue-eyed cop bottom boy. It's someone who's actually really, really good at what they do, but nothing's going right in their life. So being John Malkovich is a really good example of a tragedy, and it's the same thing, but it's inverted. So he's the best puppeteer in the world, but he isn't getting anywhere in his life. His wife doesn't respect him. He's floundering through life. He ends up going for a job in a shitty company, and it's all really weird. And then, on the 7.5 floor of this building, or whatever the floor it is, and then you have the middle section where something happens, and then it changes everything. So he finds a portal into John Malkovich's brain, and then adventures happen. But at the point in most films when the characters are on their last legs, the mentor's been killed in front of them, or, everything's, all hope is lost, right? At that moment in a normal film, in a tragedy, that's the moment where they get everything. And this doesn't just work for films, this also works for theatre, it works for stories in general. So Macbeth is king, he's killed Banquo, he's killed everyone who stands in his way, he is the King of Scotland. The guy out of being John Malkovich John Cusack has discovered a way of controlling Malkovich, and now he's Malkovich, and he's got with the woman that he wants to. So if you think about like how a normal story, a normal movie ends, it's with the main character not necessarily getting what they want, but getting what they need at the very least. But in a tragedy, they get it earlier, because that last act, instead of it being going from the shittest place ever to winning, it goes from the best place ever to fucking losing and being trapped in the baby body of the child of Lottie and Catherine Keenan, whatever her name is, and just going, look at me. Oh, it's just that is like one of the most tragic endings to a film. Bizarre, but tragic endings of a film. It's really interesting, and so like all movies basically run on these beats. And you could say, well, what about Pulp Fiction? Yeah, Pulp Fiction does. They just move around. It's like they wrote a script, Quentin Tarantino wrote a script, but then cut it up and moved all the bits around in the script. So you're jumping around in time, jumping between characters. But those same character arcs are still there. They, the same arc of discovery, the same arc of crisis, resolution, all that kind of stuff is in there. And it's very unusual for a film not to have that stuff. And it's sometimes quite interesting. I mean, you could probably say there's some David Lynch films that are probably don't really follow the traditional form of cinema. But I think most David Lynch films follow, if you're going to have that idea of somebody wants something and they're having trouble getting it, the main character in the film is having trouble finding out what the fuck is going on. There you go. Whether it's Lost Highway or Mulholland Drive or Blue Velvet, they're really finding it difficult to find out what the hell's going on. That's their difficulty. And it's quite interesting that the people have got to change over the course of a film, which is a bit of wish fulfillment because people don't really change in real life. You can change your circumstances, you can change your surroundings, but who you are intrinsically as a person. I think it's a bit of bullshit when you watch a movie and it's like, someone who's a dickhead and then they turn out not to be a dickhead in the end. I'm like, nah, they're always going to be a dickhead. And that's why one of the few things I liked about the new Star Wars movies, the sequel trilogy, was the fact that Han and Leia split up. Because I was like, yeah, that's exactly what would happen. There was no happy ever after for an intergalactic princess and a cowboy, a space pirate. It just wasn't going to happen. Like that relationship came together under duress. Not, it wasn't forced or anything, but these two characters were like going through war together, going through life and death situations together. And then once that was all over, could you see Han Solo like helping with the hoovering? Do you know what I mean? Like, no, there was no happy ever after for them two. Questionable Sanity is saying Koi Aniskati, Life Out of Balance. Is that? Yeah. That's like a nature film though, isn't it? So yeah, good point. Questionable Absanity. It's a good film. Good film. Put it on at 3 o'clock in the morning when you're a bit zoned out. Always good. Anne Phillips, I knew someone who said they met Terry Pratchett and that he hadn't liked them as he was very rude. I doubt this. The person I knew could be prickly. Yeah, I mean, I never got the opportunity to meet Terry Pratchett. I would like to have done, but his came across as all right. I think there's a bit in Darren Brown's autobiography where he talks about how you come across as a public figure, as someone that people recognize. And he realized like he went into a restaurant and he saw his friends and he sort of just looked up and was like, oh, hi. And apparently there was someone who was like right by the door or something. He was like, oh my God, Darren Brown, nice to meet you. And he didn't see them. And he just walked past this guy who's probably standing with his hand out or something because he was looking at his mates. And afterwards he thought, oh my God, that guy's going to go home and just think I'm the biggest dick he's ever met. He's going to tell all his friends Darren Brown is this rude bastard who wouldn't even shake my hand. But I literally didn't see him. However, you can't really help how you come across to people, I guess. And Colin Baker gave me £5 for reaching 2 hours. Thank you very much, Colin Baker. Thank you so much. That's very, very kind of you for the £5 super chat. And Robert Laris, I think our time. You got an extra hour out of me. So thank you so much to Robert Laris there for the £50 super chat. And for everyone else who's dropped in a chat. It's been a great 2 years. I think the channel has gone from strength to strength. We've got loads more stuff in the bag that we want to share with you over the next few months. If you have ideas for things for the channel, let me know. Just throw stuff in, like what you would like to see. But can you make it stuff that, when I say you would like to see, make sure it's something that other people would like to see as well, okay? It can't just be about you, because I can't do a one-to-one channel. That wouldn't really work, I don't think. So, yeah. Don't just think of show, also think of business. Think of show business. Oh, yeah. Anyway, so, yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for watching. Thanks so much for supporting the channel over the last 2 years. Here's to too many more. See what I did there? And, get shit done. Just do it. Just do it. Don't ask for permission. You sit around all day waiting for permission. No fucker's going to give it to you. So just do it. Just start making stuff. Even if it's shit, even if it's daft, doesn't have to be a masterpiece. But the more you practice making those pots, 6 months down the line, you'll make the perfect pot. At some point, I'll make the perfect morning brew. And I'll be like, woo! I said everything I needed to say and didn't miss anything out. Like when you have an argument with someone or you go for a job interview and you walk out and you're like, I should have said this. Oh, why did I mention that? That's how I feel after doing every one of these shows. I'm like, I look at my notes and go, oh, I didn't mention that. So yeah, one day we will do the perfect show, but whenever that happens, please join me tonight. If you're in a mental state where you can put up with this kind of shit, please join me tonight for DRC on Hughes of the World, Democratic Republic of Congo. It's a sad story. I'm not gonna lie. But if you can't be fucked with that, because that's understandable with everything that's going on in the world right now, join me tomorrow for Morning Brew at 9 o'clock, and then we'll be doing the agenda at 1, which is going to be a really important edition of the agenda. Phil and I are going to be picking apart the spring statement and what it means and what the implications are, and whether Labour has well and truly, fucked the dog on this one. Screwed the pooch. Colin Baker, I love the Private Eye cartoon about David Lynch with the headstone bearing the initials PIR. Love it, love it. Unquiet Badger says Scouser with ADHD equals endless content. I'm going to do that one day. I'm going to do BBC Hughes 24, and it's just going to be me for 24 hours doing a live show, and just stopping to go, just for a few minutes to go to the toilet now and again. But I've got it planned out. You just wait. I don't know if anyone will want to watch me for that long. We did it on election night, didn't we? What was the election night? It was 9 hours, 9-hour stream. It was split in two because I had to go from the club to the house. But 9-hour stream. Jesus. Anyway, all of you, take care. I love you all. And until next time, give us a like on the way out. We always like a like. And if you're so minded and you'd like a lovely little rose next to your name, there's so many of you who are members, which is wonderful. Martin Hauer in there, Anne Phillips, Duke Vengeance. We've got one Angry Pagan as well. If you would like a rose after your name, like what day I've got, just hit that join button, and we can all be joiners. We'll put bits of wood together, and it really helps the channel, helps support the channel, helps us make content at a consistent rate. And until next time, I will say once again, hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.